Tether announced donating $250,000 to OpenSats, and then Jack Dorsey replied saying like, only $250K, and he's funded
it's like
tens and
17 minutes of operation,
tens of millions of dollars. So on one hand, like thank you to anyone donating to Bitcoin. On the other hand, compared to Tether's profits, revenue, treasury, whatever metric you want to use, it would be kind of like us donating like a dime or $1 or something. Yeah. So, but it raises the question of like, expectations and obligations. Like, what should Tether's obligation be? What should other companies in Bitcoin space? What's their obligation? Are they obligated to fund it? Is it in their strategic interest? Either way, how much? What should be the expectation? Like, if it's in their strategic interest, how do you go about thinking about what percentage of our revenue, profits, or any other business metric you want to pick should go towards open source funding?
I mean, I think to be fair, I mean, look, I think the whole ethos of Bitcoin is sort of voluntarism. Like no one should or have to do anything. Like I don't think that's a good message to ever send. On the other hand, I think from Tether's perspective, it's kind of like, guys, your profit numbers are public. And so in some ways optically, and look, I mean, it's great. Anyone that donates, like, that's awesome. No one has to do that. And that's awesome. But it's kind of like, it would have almost been better to donate nothing. And now it's just kind of like people are laughing because it's like, dude. And it's like, I mean, the way I think about it is, it's awesome that a company like Bitwise committed to giving 10% of their profits to Bitcoin open source. If Tether did what Bitwise did, bro, I mean, they would make Jack look small.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't need the marketing value.
They don't need the marketing value, but it's like, I mean, my understanding is a lot of these guys at the top, it's just interesting because it's like, and look, I mean, I haven't donated to it, so I'm not going to let he who is without whatever cast the first stone. They're probably doing a lot of other stuff, which is awesome. And like, in fact, I know they are, which is great. So, I mean, I know Tether has generally been a pretty supportive member of the community, but on the other hand, I mean, if the people at the top of these organizations, it's just kind of crazy because it does seem like everyone's like, oh, yeah, the Bitcoiners, we all want to like support this stuff. And it does seem like a lot of Bitcoiners are pretty tight. There are exceptions, and Jack is certainly one. The guys that funded our office, like there are people who've really put their money where their mouth is, and it's awesome to see.
But it's a small percentage.
And you kind of get
those who are generous are extremely generous, but it's small.
But it's super small. And so, and yeah, maybe that's incumbent on all of us. Like maybe we should all be giving more, and probably we should.
Also, I mean, we're talking about Tether because they announced it and they got poked at a little bit, but there's so many other companies that have donated nothing. So,
agreed.
So I can argue it either way with Tether. Like, number one, thank you, and hopefully it's the start of the beginning of a lot more.
Yeah.
And I did hear from a source that that's the amount OpenSat suggested. So hopefully it is just it's a start, and maybe they can fund multiple funding organizations.
Yeah. We don't know what all they've donated elsewhere, so I think that's important.
Yeah, I'd love to see Tether start like their version of Spiral, right?
Amazing.
Start their own organization within Tether, hire someone to lead it, and then give them a budget. I don't think Max wants to do that. He's pointing at you.
You pointing at me?
No.
I'm in my garden.
And then like give them, basically like Spiral, but their own version of Spiral. They don't like when I created Spiral, like it was like I looked at Chain Code and Brink and MIT DCI and all these different orgs and just sort of copied aspects of each, but then also added my own sort of flavor, and that's what I'd encourage anyone else to do as well. So I think that would be really interesting. But yeah, hopefully it's just the start of much bigger stuff in the future. And to all the other large companies that are have a lot of profits, like I think they could do more as well.
Is there some sort of curated list where we can see all of the orgs, like maybe in OpenSats and a Chain Code and Brink, where you can see what they are, and maybe like, do they even have public addresses where you could make donations if you wanted? Like if you wanted to donate $1, you mentioned that. Do you have to talk to somebody, or you can just do it?
No, I know like Brink and HRF, you can just do it. I'm sure all of them you can, but on their websites and like, so that it's a short list, so I can easily name them, Brink, Vintium, HRF, OpenSats, localhost as well. I actually don't know. Localhost started a year ago, funded by initially by Wences and Mark, the same two that funded Presidio Bitcoin. But I believe their model, they are seeking funding from others as well. I don't know the status of that. So I don't know if you go to the localhost website, can you pay a Bitcoin address? I think that's their vision, and maybe it might be their reality now.
And to be fair, again, I think we shouldn't pick on Tether too much, because like they have done a lot of other things, and like there's probably a lot of other organizations which I'm guessing is Tether money that they're not calling Tether money, and so like we should encourage them to continue building. But I think
don't shame people for small amounts. Encourage it.
Yeah, encourage like, hey guys, that's great. We appreciate it. And like you're probably doing a lot more, and we hope you continue to do a lot more. And like, hey, by the way, Bitwise does 10%. That would be something really crazy to shoot for, right? But I also think, to be fair to a lot of these donors and individuals too, because I think about that sometimes, and it's like, you always say, oh, one day if I get super rich, I'll like give back, and then very few people ever do. For whatever reason, there are certain people like Jack who seem to retain their values. Most people, as they get rich, don't seem to retain their values. Now, one thing though is that maybe they're busy people and they don't have a lot of opportunity. They don't know what's a good nonprofit. They don't know what's useful. And I think in the case of like Mark and Wences, like they were extremely generous, but someone had to like come to them and be like, hey, here's a great idea. And they're like, yeah, this is a great idea. And so I think, if anything, you mentioned like a bunch of these organizations, Bantium was Lucas from Lightning Labs. He just had a vision. He went out there and did it. And he talked to people like John Pfeffer and others. And like there were people who were very generous, but like the real scarce resource is never money. The real scarce resource is doing the hard work and the legwork, having a truly great idea that's fundable. And so I think if anything, maybe this is another call for more people. If you have a beautiful vision you want to see in the world, just do it. And probably the money will come if you do something good.
Yep. I mean, Presidio Bitcoin is literally that.
Exactly.
Because Wences and Mark approached me and a few others wanting to create Chaincode West, which ultimately became localhost. But we also convinced them to do Presidio Bitcoin, which is a very big initiative. And it was like us and a few other people who created a vision, and here we are.
Yeah. So vision is more important than money. The money will come.
But last thing on the funding, I think like there's a report about a year ago from Dan O'Prey and one of his colleagues showing that explored the funding of Bitcoin Core specifically and who donates. And Jack just like dominates the funding picture, which obviously credit to him for how generous he's been, and also credit to him for how hands-off he is. There's certainly he's invested money, or
he's one of a kind.
Where he doesn't necessarily like the direction of some of the people doing certain things, but he's very hands-off. And so but it's disproportionate, right? It's unhealthy for Bitcoin to have one person be such a major donor. So for other people, like whether it's individuals or companies that have big bags, it would be much healthier for Bitcoin if they were at least collectively matching how much Jack is funding.
And also, to be clear, like we don't know what people are doing anonymously as well. And I mean, we probably do know for some of these organizations, but
we have a pretty good, I mean, there's not like some hidden $50 million Bitcoin dev fund that we don't know about.
Secret. Well, I mean, and I was going to say, I mean, look, I mean, like, it's awesome to get back to Bitcoin, but I also think, in something that I hope I will remember if I'm in a position to contribute more, would be, do you remember like the Pineapple Fund? Remember how cool that was? They just like gave money away to like do, I don't know, like I just feel like in general, I mean, I think Bitcoiners are going to increasingly be in a position where they can do really cool things for the world, and it'd be awesome to see not just Bitcoin development, that's certainly one of them, but like more bold ideas that the status quo won't fund. I think that's one area where Bitcoiners can change the world.
Yeah, that's the future.
That's the future.